Hey everybody, Audiophile Barista here and welcome to the first edition of Lost and Found. Now what is this all about? Well, throughout the years and even before my channel I always made a lot of pictures and I filmed a lot of things, and I've never been using that on the channel for a multitude of reasons. Sometimes I just take pictures thinking I am going to use it for the channel, but I end up not using it because, well, at the time maybe I thought it is not interesting enough or the quality is not very good. But recently I was looking through all my old pictures and I thought, you know what, there may actually be an interesting story in here. So here we go, the first episode of Lost and Found. And for this episode I thought maybe it's interesting to go through some of the history of my audio system. Now let's start with this picture. Here you can see my first official rack. Before that I had all kind of DIY contraptions, but this was the first official rack that I bought. It was an Apollo rack where you had the possibility to change the height between the tiers by changing the legs between the tiers. So I had all kind of different lengths and you could just screw them in. So let's check out the system from top to bottom, and remember these pictures are some 16 years old, so the quality is not very good. Anyways, on top is the clear audio turntable that I'm still using. I was the first owner and I still love it. Before that I believe I had a Torrance 160. Now right next to the clear audio you see the Musical Fidelity XLP. It is the phono stage for the turntable. I still have it, but it is broken. Below that you can see my Arkham CD player that I'm also still using. And also this one was one that I bought new at the time. Now remember, at that time the second-hand market was not as big as it is today. So most of the things that I had was new. Below the Arkham is my Audionote Auto Tube integrated amplifier that I played for a very long time with much pleasure. Before that I had the Musical Fidelity A1, the original. Now this picture is not very good, but it gives you a better look of the remaining equipment. So under the Audionote there is a Sony Blu-ray player, because watching movies has always been a very important part of my setup. When I was about 25 years old I stopped watching TV and I only watched movies. And over there on the left on the ground there is the Stax that I also still have, and that one was bought second hand. These things are crazy expensive, but I had to have one. Now if we go back to this picture you can also see the PS Audio Quintet power bar on the floor there. That is also something that I bought new, and the notion that clean power was important was already at a very early stage something that I recognized. By the way, on the left you see the couch that I just recently replaced. You see, I am not someone that changes things very often. I'm not one of those nervous audiophiles that needs to change things every year. I'm probably only at my 5th change in amplifiers and I am 59 years old. And I started this hobby when I was about 16 years old. It always took me a lot of time and research to decide what I wanted to buy with my hard-earned money, and because of that they always stayed in the system for a very long time. Now obviously when your equipment needs to be on the floor, like the Stax, your rack is too small. So I glued some planks of MDF together, and using only the legs from the Apollo rack I created a bigger rack. Now I am not very good at DIY, but I can be very creative. And here on this terrible picture you can see the result. The turntable is still on top, the piece of granite is now on the floor with the Audionote on it, and there is a Quad 34 preamp in the rack, although I do not remember why that was. Now after a while that MDF rack became a little bit too much DIY looking, so I invested in a real rack, and apparently I also bought a better camera. Now this rack is my own design and I had it made by a carpenter. There is enough information on my channel about this rack, so I will skip it in this video. Now what else is there to see in the rack? Well, in the middle on the right is another preamp from Vincent. I don't remember what the model was. And there are 2 Blu-ray players on the bottom tier right next to the Audionote. So why 2? Well, in the early days of DVD there was all this region nonsense. A DVD from America was not allowed to play in the Netherlands, so it had to be the correct region or the DVD would not play. Now, much to my annoyance, most of the time, the editions that came from the States were much better, more extras, better looking boxes, so I bought many of those American DVDs, but that meant I had to get a player that was region free. A bit of an illegal tweak that you could get, so now I had 2 players. Now, the reason for this was also very annoying. Movies in the States would premiere 6 months before we got to see them over here in Europe. Now, basically what the movie companies did was to have the newly printed movie reels play for 6 months in America, and then we would get the leftovers. It was not uncommon to see a scratched movie even at the first European screening. Talking about movies, here you can see some pictures of my movie screen. Because this house was so small, you really sat very close to the screen, and I was very happy with my little setup. Here you can see it from the side. The projector was mounted on the ceiling, and I did some wonderful cable management, as you can see. Behind the couch you can see the same rack, just in another configuration, and this was before I placed it on the sidewall because it still has the Torrance 160 turntable on it. On the wall left you can see my Mozart painting that doubled as an acoustical element. That painting was done by the same artist that later did the wonderful paintings of my coffee equipment. But the design, just like with the audio rack, was mine. And if you want to know more about those speakers, or where I had my vinyl and CDs, you will have to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because that will be in the next episode of Lost and Found. And let me know in the comment section if anyone recognizes that speaker. So that is all for this first episode of Lost and Found. Let me know if this is something that you like, and I will see you in the next one.